These are the scariest SUBMECHANOPHOBIA animatronics and props you've never seen before. And to close out the year, we're doing it with our favorite series. And your favorite series. Today we're going to see everything from never-before-seen Disney footage to animatronics straight out of movies. But before we start, I need a favor. If we hit 100 duck emojis in the comments and 1,000 likes, at the beginning of the year, I'll drop the video about my lore and origin. I'm counting on you. Knockin' behind the scenes. Disney has banned this footage. That's not true, but now I've got your attention. What you're seeing here is the Nookin from the old Maelstrom ride at Epcot. And you're probably thinking, come on, Walt, you're recycling. You already covered this. And yeah, I did. If you want the full story, go watch that video. But this time, I found something nobody ever shows. Underwater test footage of the Nookin. It's super disturbing because you can see the Nookin half finished, rising and sinking in the water in a really bizarre way. This behind the scenes clip is really rare, and I found it completely by accident while I was browsing YouTube. By the way, if you have videos or candidates for future lists, send them to my email, waltanimatronic@gmail.com. Let's keep going with the list. Time capsule Coatbridge. Nobody had been able to find real footage of these animatronics. But before we start this segment, we have to say thank you to Sid for suggesting them. What you're seeing here are the animatronics from the Time Capsule Water Park in Coatbridge, Scotland. This park opened in the 90s, and its main theme was prehistoric, with dinosaur animatronics and everything. Obviously, for anyone with SUBMECHANOPHOBIA, this was a total nightmare setup. The most iconic and terrifying animatronic was the sea serpent, which was in one of the shallow pools in sprayed water. Here you can see it in action. There was also another legendary animatronic, a T-Rex, guarding the pools. It moved around randomly and watched over the slides. Over time, the park closed for renovations, and when it reopened, all the dinosaurs and the prehistoric theming were gone. That's why it was so hard to find any video of these animatronics. Or at least, that's what everyone thought, because I finally found footage of both dinosaurs. Here you can see the two dinos in the background of this interview. Here's the T-Rex guarding the slide, and in this other shot you can see roughly how it used to move. Seeing these animatronics in that liminal, empty water park space is really bizarre. It honestly feels more like a level from an analog horror video game. So tell me, would you get in these pools? Pennywise showed up in the middle of a lake in Madrid. Who on earth thought this was a good idea? This abomination was created by HBO Max for the promo campaign of Welcome to Derry. They made a giant Pennywise statue and put it right in the middle of a lake in Madrid without warning anyone. They just filled the park with red balloons. Imagine going out for a peaceful walk and suddenly you see this insane clown half submerged in the water. I would start running immediately. And if that wasn't enough, this Pennywise was later moved to Parque Warner in Madrid. It really seems like Warner wants everyone to float. By the way, shout out to all our Spanish ducks. Voyage to the center of the earth. Anyone who's been on this attraction is probably traumatized for life. This themed slide is super terrifying and incredible at the same time. In my opinion, this is the ride where you feel the most exposed. Not just because of how close the animatronics are, but because you're riding alone in a tiny inflatable tube. The ride is called Voyage to the Center of the Earth, and it's at Waterworld, a water park near Denver, Colorado. This ride is mega scary. First of all, you're in complete darkness, speeding through caves with big drops. And right after you come out of a tunnel, you bump into a giant elasmosaurus that passes right next to your little tube. How exposed and defenseless you feel there in the water is honestly super traumatic. After that, you go past several dinosaur animatronics until you finally face a huge T-Rex. It's a really amazing ride. I saw a comment that said it's wild, but not even Volcano Bay or any Disney water park has a slide like this. Waterworld really gave the theme park giants a lesson with this one, don't you think? Dinosaur Park in Ernzen, Germany. This image pretty much explains why people have SUBMECHANOPHOBIA. Where on earth and who on earth thought this nightmare display was a good idea? We're going all the way to Germany. Big shout out to all our German ducks. We know there are a lot of you. At Dinosaur Park in Ernzen, you can find this terrifying scene with huge, half-submerged props. You can see giant megalodons, turtles, and other prehistoric reptiles sticking out of the water. What makes this so horrible is seeing these props so large, lifeless, and still, just sitting in rancid pond water. They don't belong there, and something about it fills me with this weird sense of dread. Whoever designed this display probably owes German kids years of therapy to get over this wild love letter to SUBMECHANOPHOBIA. Balloon Boy! We like to say we inspired the scene from the FNAF 2 movie. Okay, tiny white lie. But it is funny that they used a shot with an animatronic underwater. Maybe the little SUBMECHANOPHOBIA community really did inspire them. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in December 2025, the FNAF 2 movie came out, and one of the scenes everyone keeps talking about is the Balloon Boy scene. In that scene, Mike falls into the water, and we see the Balloon Boy animatronic start chasing him. Then suddenly, we see him completely underwater, with those giant eyes just staring at him. This animatronic was built by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, and seeing a full-on SUBMECHANOPHOBIA moment in the movie was amazing. If you haven't seen the movie yet, what are you waiting for? And tell me in the comments, which FNAF animatronic is your favorite? Happy Valley Snake animatronic. Imagine you're watching a show, and out of nowhere, this huge water serpent jumps out and spits water at you. Well, that can actually happen if you visit Happy Valley in China. Seriously, what is going on with China and underwater animatronics? They're becoming the champions of SUBMECHANOPHOBIA. This is from the Maya show, and during the show, a massive snake comes out of the water to attack the audience. The scary part is how close this animatronic gets to the guests and the performers. Watching it spray water and seeing droplets dripping down its body is honestly terrifying. Luckily, the Mayan warriors are there to protect the crowd and send the serpent back into the depths. But the trauma? Yeah, that stays with you. Lituo dinosaurs. This SUBMECHANOPHOBIA nightmare is a Plesiosaur made by Lituo Animatronics. This image has been shared in the SUBMECHANOPHOBIA community for years, but nobody could ever find actual footage of this animatronic, until now. We finally found a video of it. The quality is terrible, but here it is. It turns out this dino was used in a park in, guess where? Of course, China, the current champions of SUBMECHANOPHOBIA. The footage speaks for itself, and honestly, the low quality makes this animatronic look even more unsettling, don't you think? Giant squid! This image has been floating around forums and subreddits for a long time. Nobody really knew what it was. It looked like a giant squid animatronic. It also showed up in a New Zealand activity book, but no one knew where it actually came from, until now. We managed to track it down, and it turns out that back in the 2000s, there was a show on Animal Planet called Animal Face Off. This show was one of my favorites when I was a kid. They would put two animals face to face to see who would win in a fight. And they didn't just guess, they did all kinds of tests. In the episode Giant Squid versus Sperm Whale, which is where this image comes from, the team built a giant squid and tested it in a pool and out at sea. They even built a sperm whale to show how strong its attack and bite would be. This show was amazing, and I have no idea where to watch it officially now, but a lot of episodes are on YouTube thanks to fans. Shows like that were a huge inspiration for the kind of content we make today. Do you remember watching this? Submerged crocodile at Pirate's Adventure Fun Fair. This next attraction is honestly incredible. Even the facade alone is spectacular, full of props and animatronics. It's a 10 out of 10. This is Pirate's Adventure at Fun Fair in Germany, and it's a walkthrough through a house full of pirate-themed animatronics and sets. The place is super well done, with hundreds of little details everywhere. But at the end of the walkthrough, you realize the exit is closed. In front of you, there's a wall of water and a small bridge. Below the bridge, there's a little pond with murky water that's gently moving. Then suddenly, from the depths, an animatronic crocodile shoots out of the water. The surprise, the lighting, and that tiny claustrophobic room create a really weird feeling. In a good, spooky way. This attraction honestly looks amazing. The Crater Lake Monster. Imagine you have an amazing idea for a movie. You hire stop-motion artists, but then you run out of budget and your film ends up as a B movie, kind of half-finished. Well, that's the Crater Lake Monster from 1977. It's a creature feature, and this SUBMECHANOPHOBIA image has been floating around online for a while. It comes from this movie. The cool thing is that the monster was made with stop motion, but for the close-up shots, they built an animatronic head, And that's where these terrifying images come from. The monster looks like a mix between the Loch Ness Monster and Godzilla. The full movie is on YouTube if you ever feel like watching a half-finished B-movie with a stop-motion lake monster. Rainbow Falls Golf Octopus. You guys have asked for this one so many times. So, we're going to Myrtle Beach, to a true classic of classics, Rainbow Falls Mini Golf. This mini golf course has two super unsettling SUBMECHANOPHOBIA props. The first one is this shark with a very don't mess with me face, like he's on some kind of psychedelic trip. The fact that he's just sitting there, totally still in that dark water, makes him honestly terrifying. And right behind him, his arch nemesis, Paul the Octopus. This is a giant red octopus, and you can see his tentacles coming out of the water. Some of them even wrap around the railings. Legend says that every night, these two props come to life and fight each other until they're exhausted. So don't go there at night, or they might drag you down into the depths with them. Troll, Watermouth Castle. Behind this door lives one of the worst animatronics in the world. And believe it or not, we've never talked about it. We have talked about its brother, the crocodile at Watermouth Castle, near Ilfracombe in Devon. This whole castle is full of animatronics, and if you want a full video about it, let us know in the comments. This troll is hiding behind a tiny door, and when you open it, boom, a light turns on, and you see this troll-looking thing that looks like it's melting. And as if that wasn't enough, it lives surrounded by water. What's the concept or story behind this animatronic? Why is it there? Honestly, I have no idea, and nobody else seems to know either. What I do know is that whoever came up with this setting is completely, gloriously twisted. That's all for today. We wish you a happy new year, and if you made it to the end, don't forget to leave your little duck emoji.